My mom sent me a picture of my dad's ass one time. Well, dude, we were fucking hammered out back. He goes to take a piss. We're all out back talking, dude. Like 10 minutes go by. I'm like, where the fuck's my dad? I hear like, I'm like, what the fuck? I run over there. He's like on the ground. He fucking fell on the pavers. He was taking a piss. He fell on the pavers, right? He's like, I'm fine, right? So like, whatever. I get him up and we get through the night. So the next day, my mom sends me a picture of my dad's ass to show me how fucking black and blue I was. Like, never fucking do that again. What are you doing?
Welcome back to Two in the Blue. I am your host, John Flounder Caruso, here with my co-host, Stevie DeStefano, and always in the background is DJ Lou. Stevie, how is the week going? You are on night work, which is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it's like this cycle of abuse. You start out like you're depressed, and then like you kind of get to an acceptance point, and now I'm just rock and roll.
Yeah, now you're at the end of the week. You finally
you see your overtime fucking piling up, and you're just like, fuck it.
It's not bad. And you probably, by this time, this is where the real mental fuck comes in, because you just started probably getting used to sleeping when you got home, and now tomorrow's the weekend, and you have to figure out, am I just going to sleep for a couple hours tomorrow morning? Am I, whatever.
I don't have a choice. Michelle's leaving at 11, so I got to watch the kids.
Well, you got to watch the kids. They'll keep you awake.
It's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
That's like the most tiring
thing
because
you're going Friday into Saturday. So how's that work on the state road? They going to let you stay a little later if you want?
Oh, yeah, 8 a.m.
Oh.
We were out there till 7 last night. This morning. What the fuck? Yeah, and the cops were like, bro, you guys going to be off by 6? I'm like, no. There ain't no fucking way we're out here by 6.
And that's another thing to explain to people that don't understand that. A lot of times when you're working on these state roads or even county roads, there's time restrictions. Even though our hours of work might be 7 to 3:30, a lot of times you can't get out on the road till 9 a.m. Got to be off by a certain time. Like, there's time restrictions for us out there. So, I mean, we get paid and we don't mind that. But, yeah, it makes things tough.
Well, we're 8 to 6, and it's so much traffic. I got to be out there at 6.
Yeah.
So I'm out there at 6, and then we're off the road at like 6:37.
Right.
But yeah, dude, these fucking these state troopers. It was like getting like 4:30, and this paver was not moving last night, dude. Every time I drove by, dude, they were in the same. I'm like, what is going?
Something broke.
Well,
you never know.
The road was wider, so a truck wasn't getting you nowhere. And the trucks are going from Memorial to Hamilton. It's a long round trip.
Yeah.
You need like 40 trucks on to keep that thing moving.
Yeah, what do they got, like 6?
They have 29, I think.
That's a lot of trucks. That's still. What happens is, though, they get bunched up. You'll get 4 from one company, 4 from another company, 3 from another company, 6 from another company, and they bunch up. All of a sudden, like a couple hours in, they're all taking break together. They're all taking then lunch together, and it is up to the guy dumping and the foreman to be like, "Yo, guys, keep it moving."
Well, they won't go over 35 miles an hour. Like our drivers were coming through, and I'm like, "What the fuck's going on?" It's like, the hired trucks, they won't go over 35 the whole way from Memorial to Hamilton and back. I'm like, they're getting lapped by 5.
Yeah, well, that's because they're doing it on purpose, because they're being assholes.
They just want to make their money,
Yeah, well, you call the company up and say, listen, your drivers need to go about 20 more miles an hour faster, or you're not going to be hired.
Well, that's the thing. They would hire 40 trucks, but they're not there. Everyone's looking for trucks right now. Mm-hmm. It's a good...
Well, it's a bit... we're in... Right now, it's still busy season for us, but also a lot of things going on where they're trying to push to get the stuff done before the weather changes. So you got to get, especially paving. Once you start getting in them colder months, a lot of times they'll only let us base the roads, and then you got to go back in the springtime and top them. But yeah, everybody's pushing to get concrete work done, asphalt work done. So night work, day work, they're jamming. People are jamming, and the weather is still pretty nice. I think we're hitting 70s again this week. I think we'll get another taste of fall. That's going to be fantastic weather to work in. I don't mind working in that. Another very, very important day next week, September 24th. That'd be my birthday.
All right.
Yeah. Yep. So
how old?
45. The big 4-5. How old are you?
37.
37. Jesus Christ.
Is that young?
And I coached your brother in baseball.
Yeah. You did?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. Well, he was on a different team.
He was pretty good at baseball.
Yeah. He was a little wise ass. Funny though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's a DeStefano.
They all were. All them kids were. So yeah, a little update on my son. I got a letter today from him. So that was great. His mom got a letter. He's doing good. He shot expert on the rifle range, which is the highest you can shoot. He's still a squad leader. This week they're doing BWT, which is basic warrior training. That's like a lot of land nav, a lot of patrolling, stuff like that. And that gets them ready for the Crucible, which is their final major test. That's at the end of this week coming up it's on the 26th. That goes from the 26th to the 28th. And that'll be his final thing. And when they're done that's when they call him a Marine for the first time. And then he has approximately a week and a half after that, and that's graduation. So he is at the end point. I cannot believe it's been almost 12 weeks already. It's crazy.
Hoorah.
Yeah. So he'll be Semper Fi. He's going to be a young little Marine.
Hell
so
yeah.
That's awesome.
Man.
Yeah. And you could tell, it's weird. You could tell the difference in the letters. When they start out, it's like they're like scribbly. You could just tell their demeanor in the letter. And now it's like it's a totally different person. It's like he's a young, and he is. He's a young adult. It's like he's a man now, and his writing is surprisingly very good. It's like a mixture of cursive and regular, but it's really good. It's very neat. I was impressed. So you could just tell he's going down the list. He's ready to be done boot camp, which is understandable.
That's such a cool observation.
It really is.
That's a really cool observation.
When you're reading the letters, it's like at first you're like, and you're hearing their voice because they're your kid. You're hearing their voice saying it, and at the first couple are like just horrible letters. They're not having fun at all. I mean, let's face it. And then and then when you get these other the last couple letters, you read them, and it just kind of warms your heart. You're like, no shit, my boy's definitely becoming a man. You could just see it. You could see it in a letter. That's like you said, it's crazy. You could just see it though.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's we're happy about that. It's he's doing real good, real good.
So when you finally go to graduation, you see him for the first time in months. Does that man get to be a boy again for a second when he sees mom and dad?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's on Family Day. So you go down there, graduation's on October 11th. They have Family Day October 10th. So you go out there, you're on base super early, like 6 a.m. They do what's called a motivational run. And they'll go and they run by everybody. We're out there with banners, his big blow-up head, bubble head. And, right, yeah. And, we got letters for Caruso across the front. You can get win like most motivated family and shit like that. But so he'll run by us, and then they go back, they get showered, change, and then they get released to us, and then we get to spend a day on base with them. So yeah, and then of course, I mean, you see mom, you see grandma, it's always a good. You're allowed to be a kid again.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
So yeah, it's really exciting. So I'm looking real forward to that.
What are you doing at work?
So right now I'm doing I follow gas crews around. I work for a company that has a what's called a blanket contract for CTX. They are CTX.
They are CTX.
Yeah, it's a blanket contract for South Jersey Gas. Our crews go around. They hook up either run the mains and then run the services. If they're running services or whatever, and they cut holes in the road, I come back and patch them up with asphalt at the end of the day.
That's a great job.
It's a great.
You're out
gig.
there later than everyone else, but it's you get to be by yourself. You're not no one up your ass all day,
right?
And you're filling in like a 2x4 hole.
It could be anything from a 2x4, 5x5. I mean, some are like a little, they could be a little longer.
You shovel them off the back of the truck.
You got to shoot too. A lot of times you get to shoot, and if the asphalt starts to harden, you just tell the guy before they leave with the machine. They kind of scrape it down and fall.
Is a crew there when you get there?
Sometimes,
so a lot of times. Hop up. They throw a couple shovels for you.
Yeah, they'll just use a machine. We do most of the work.
Yeah.
If anything, when we get there, we'll try to help them finish up so we can get our job and get to the next one.
Now, do you have to clean the whole? Do you have to clean the edges too when you get there? You have to cut.
Certain townships are different. You do have to. Some townships you have to cut when you go back. Like a lot of times you have to do a temporary patch where you put the sand release in between the two lifts, and then they pop it out, and then you have to cut a foot on each side. That's some townships. Most of the time, it's just as square as possible.
Now, do you still are these townships still requiring that square?
Yeah,
and the to go back and clean it up.
Yeah,
even after they pass that curb to curb. Like if you're running services now in New Jersey, the gas company is responsible to repave the road from beginning to end of where they're running services.
So if there's so many services within a block, then they're responsible for paving that entire block. If there's only a couple services, they're required to pave that patch, the width of the patch across the whole road.
Yeah.
Whether it goes across the road or not, they want it across the road, which is a lot of stuff. I believe, your company has been coming in and doing a lot of it. So
and you guys never tamp any of your fucking holes, so we gotta fix all that shit.
No, we tamp. I tamp. I have to tamp because it's asphalt. It's the guys it's the crews in the back. So, and listen, sometimes you have to understand. Sometimes if the hole's wet,
No, I know.
There's different. And there are sometimes them guys in a rush. They don't jump and jack it. That's wrong. You gotta do proper compaction in a hole. So
well, I mean, the holes are sitting there for long enough too that you would think they would become naturally compacted by the time we get to it, but
no.
But when a mill runs over it, if it's not properly compacted,
them things are so fucking heavy.
You're gonna find out real quick if it's got good compaction.
Yeah,
or not,
absolutely. So you any dumb things for the week this week?
Just got hollered at by a homeowner for the pipe.
Oh, great! So they can dig up my yard whenever they want now.
Well, it's the 13 feet off the road. I think is this.
25 feet.
Is the states? Yeah.
So I pay taxes when you guys fuck up everything. It's great.
This just goes to show you, this is just part. It's like a tip of the iceberg of what we deal with.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like,
and I was ready for that because she was like a problem prior to this on the job. So the inspector, we were putting out traffic. So I mean, you're putting out traffic, dude. You got 30-something triaxles sitting on the shoulder of Route 9.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everyone's waiting to get going. You got all hands on deck doing safety. You got cops and bells and whistles everywhere.
Right.
So we're driving by the cone line. I see this sprinkler just shooting fucking 900 feet in the air, dude. And I was like, oh, God. And then and the inspectors call me. I see it. Inspector. I'm like, and finally I talked to him, dude. And he's like, bro, did you see that sprinkler? Can someone fix that? I'm like, bro, how's that our problem?
At 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
No, it was 8 at night. But I was like, I didn't see how that was like anyone at our company's problem.
Right.
But he had so many issues with this homeowner that he didn't want to deal with her again.
Right.
He's like, bro, can someone just fix his and everyone's just telling him like, yeah, all right, yeah, we'll look at it, whatever. But he was like, dude, if she comes out, get your camera out. That's what he said. Because
Yeah, he knew it was coming.
Yeah. So
I see her complain, and she totally contradicted herself.
Oh, yeah.
You were like, because you were trying to tell her, and it varies. That right away, it does vary on certain roads. You're like, it's like 13 feet. She's like, no, it's 25. Well, okay, then you really don't have.
Then you have zero front yard,
right? Then you zero, and you. By the way, you do not pay your taxes on your right away. Yes, you do have to maintain it, but you don't pay taxes on it. So just shut up. It is what it is.
I get it too, man. There's a big manhole.
Like 200 feet off the road.
Yeah.
Like, that's the perfect place to be. If they're doing construction at nighttime on your road, you sit 200 feet off the road. I'm in bed snoring.
Yeah.
No, but these people
early. It was
gotta come out. They gotta say something. People need to start getting smacked in the mouth again. They really do. I just can't stand people. I can't stand it. They just come out and I hear a complaint. And this is what I pay taxes for, so you can come fuck my shit up. You should have been like, yeah, that's pretty much. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Your taxes are literally paying for this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My
fucking assholes, man. I can't stand people. And she's probably like, I don't know, a fucking school teacher or something. I have no clue what fucking construction entails.
Dude, if that girl is a school teacher, the future of this country is a fucking problem.
I didn't even see her face. No, she wasn't even like at least if they're good looking, you can deal with it a little bit.
No, it was. Yeah.
All right, we'll keep it at that. We'll keep it nice.
Look, if she's coming out hollering at you at 3:30 in the morning, you kind of.
I want to know what she's doing up at 3:30 in the morning.
I don't think she went to sleep.
What the fuck are you doing up?
What people do at 3:30 in the morning.
What do people do at 3:30? If you're up at 3, you're up to no good.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you have insomnia. I mean, like, what are you doing up at 3:30 in the morning? I'm looking at my phone. You don't get off your fucking phone.
Yeah, I don't know what she was doing.
Yeah,
watching. Maybe she was
watching
Tuna Blue.
Can't sleep.
She's catching up on Tuna Blue.
I didn't know what Lou was fucking doing right then. I didn't.
Where are you going?
Like,
is her hair?
I thought he was gonna. I swear, I thought he was gonna pull out like a rag, like a magician, like this.
That looked like it looked like a hocus pocus.
You know what the fuck he was doing? Oh, spider web or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was like it was coming down.
Oh God, get them all.
Yeah.
Ugh, spiders. So I'll tell you a little story about spiders. I had a job on the New Jersey Turnpike for a company doing with the vac truck, and we had to clean out all the inlets and scuppers up and down the New Jersey Turnpike. New Jersey Turnpike north. It's like from from like exit 9, no, even more, exit 7, all the way up to the Meadowlands.
What?
It is one of the most disgusting. It is one of the most disgusting
brutal,
jobs
dude.
we had. And one of the inlets, when we pop them open, these little spiders, they're like little tiny spiders. They jump out, and as they jump, they spray webs. So you're popping this open, and you see these little, almost like they have like little white backs. They're jumping out, spraying webs everywhere. I can't stand spiders. So now these things are jumping out. I got the pressure gun. I'm like all over the place. Like, yes, it's cold. The water's almost freezing in the air because that's how cold it is. I'm like, my guys are like, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't see the fucking spiders? Fucking fuck. I'm like, I hate it. But this is some of the disgusting shit we had to put up with.
I know the exact insect you're talking about because when we, I would be on like a maintenance project where we're like repairing inlets or something, and dude, they love them inlets, dude.
They do.
They're like half cricket, half spiders.
It's something.
Yeah, they're fucking weird,
they're,
dude.
Some of the shit
They're
you
huge.
see, and we would clean out some. I swear, some of these ones that we were cleaning out, it was like companies with tankers just pulled up on the side of the turnpike in the middle of the night and just opened up their valve and let them dump into these inlets. It's like sludge and it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And we're breathing it in, so it's good for you.
Yeah, whatever. Someone's got to do it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you wonder why. And you wonder why I'm in therapy.
Speaking of therapy,
You want some? I got a couple good ones.
Our field correspondent, Raggedy Randy, he's having a day.
Raggedy Randy here doing some driveways. All right there, John, give me a little bit. There you go. That's like that. You worthless piece of shit. What the fuck am I supposed to do with this? You get back here right now, you cocksucker. This shit is up to my goddamn knees. What a, you're about as useless as a toothpick in a meth lab. Cocksucker.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
That's our field correspondent, Raggedy Randy. Raggedy Randy out there doing some driveway aprons, huh?
Yeah, that's a shitty job.
That's
dude.
day work.
That's a shitty job, though.
I used to do it. I used to do it for
I know.
that
Actually,
company.
if you have a
It's not
nice
bad.
system,
If you had, well, that's the thing. You have to. It's all about a system. You
Yeah.
got a guy going ahead with the backhoe, two guys behind. Keeping it prep, putting the 2x4 down if you need to.
Yeah.
And then you just keep going. It's
that
really
particular crew he's on now, they don't have a system.
No, and
They're all over the
can,
fucking
and if
place.
one person, right, and it can make the job so fucking difficult. Like one guy shovel, one guy broom, one guy rake and broom, one guy shovel. Shoveling's usually the harder of the two. One guy or tamp and broom, one guy rakes. It's like just keep it. No, you get the guy that wants to drop the shovel, go grab the tank. Just keep the system going.
Yeah.
It's a system.
Yeah.
It's a system. Which brings me to another topic I wanted to talk about. I went to a class. I took a class at the hall.
Oh,
And I did the foreman training class. So what our last contract that came out, what I found out is the contract before the last one, this was in there, this foreman training. They kind of drug their feet and never started it. When they did the new contract, the contractors pushed saying, listen, you were supposed to have this training out there, so they did. And in 3 years, if you have the training and after the 3-year contract, you will get it's $5 now instead of $2.50 for
holy shit!
foreman.
I'm taking that class.
Right now, it's 50 cents if you get it right now and go hand it into your contractor. It's an extra 50 cents, but at the end of 3 years,
Is that a night
significant
class?
Bumps. It was a Saturday class.
It was one Saturday.
One Saturday
for an
Now-
extra 50 cents an hour.
Dude, now listen to this. The class itself, the trainers it was a 44-hour class. It was all week long, a 44-hour class to train this. The thing about this training thing is it's very new to them, and I found it to be very interesting. But it's like there's nothing hands-on about it. You can't do hands-on training to teach you how to be a leader or a foreman. You either have some tangibles or not. Now, I try to explain some of the things that worked for me in the past and some of the things that didn't work in the past. Like, I've been the guy that was the fucking asshole in the crew. I've been the foreman. I've been the superintendent, whatever, and everything in between. But you have to know, like, it's different stroke. I was telling people, like, it's different stroke for different folks these days. What works for you may not work for Lou. What works for Lou ain't going to work for the next guy. The days of hollering and screaming and shit at guys just don't cut it no more. People don't respond to that, you know. Or you get some of these new guys out there that you holler and yell at them or something like that that you have to raise your voice to, and all of a sudden they're going to tell supervisors because they feel like they were offended or something. First of all, we're in the fucking work of construction, okay? We're in the work of construction. We're not in an office building, okay? We're not doctors and nurses in a friggin' office. This is what we do. We curse. We tell dirty jokes. That's what gets the day by. That's what gets the night going. That's what gets us by to the next day. So you know, they teach you about the harassment, stuff like that. You know, all kinds of stuff. But what I found was it's more of a talking class. It's basically read this, talk about it. Read this, talk about it. It was a boring class, but I don't think there's really a way to make it interesting other than you got to teach these guys that are becoming foremen that, you know, there's different. You can't. It's not like it used to be. You know, what was good in the '90s didn't work in 2000, and what worked in 2000 didn't work in 2010, so forth and so on. It's not the old days. You can't holler, can't throw something at somebody, can't smack somebody. You know,
Yeah.
you can't do none of this shit anymore. So you have to figure out a way how to communicate. You know, a very tactful way.
What do you think is the root of that?
Society.
Especially now, like especially the.
I mean, I'll throw it out there. I'll be a bitch about it and say it's society.
It's such a like soft culture, dude. Like,
It's like-
but you
yeah.
have to take these people in. Like, do you think that whoever accepts like anyone into the apprenticeship program, you know, allows them to get in as a journeyman with hours? Like, do you think they look at someone like, man, this person just might not work?
Yes.
But we gotta let them.
They said it on the last class. They said, listen, we apologize ahead of time. This last class we just let out.
No shit.
They were like, they didn't get it. These instructors have to be very careful. Now, I have been to a few. Did you ever do the apprentice program?
No.
I've been to a few classes, the Gen Con classes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I won't get too far into detail. They told me I couldn't take pictures because I was going to put it on the We Are 172 page. I couldn't take pictures, and I couldn't distract anybody. But it's very much like a mini type boot camp where they make you like a pallet of bricks, stack it on this pallet. Now when you're done, stack it back on the other pallet. Like dig a hole here, fill it back in by hand, dig one over here. What they're doing is they are trying to get guys to quit. They want to see who's going to last and who's not going to last. Because let's face it, we make good money, so you got to be able to do the work.
Yeah, and how many times you run into that on the field where you're just like, why am I fucking doing this?
Yeah, because
Like, why?
something as simple as stacking inlet block. There's a method to it because when you lift it up with a forklift or whatever and go to put it on a truck, it doesn't fall over. I mean, there's a method behind everything. So my biggest take from this foreman class was, you know, the instructors have to lean on the foremans coming in to get a lot of information, but the instructors also got to try to take notice and step up and say, listen, this is what's worked over the years. This isn't what's working anymore. We hear what's going on out in the field. This stuff can't take place. This is the way you have to do it. And like I said, it's hard. It's a hard line. It's a hard line to walk because the responsibility basically is on the foreman. At the end of the day, you're the guy. The foreman is the one running that crew to get that work done. You know, he'll be directed by a superintendent or a project manager. His guys under him have to perform the work, but the onus, the paperwork that comes in, the name on that work that day is usually the foreman.
That's why it's so important to, you know, to just write everything down. I mean, everyone always tells me, like, just write. And, like, I remember my dad, who was a state inspector, had them little yellow notebooks. Yes. And, dude, he just had fucking
they hold up in
boxes.
A quarter wall.
Boxes full of them. I don't write anything down.
When I was a foreman, I do. I used to as a regular laborer, and I still should, and I advise everybody if you're even a laborer, you just write down the basic information. What time you got there, who was on your crew, what you did, and the area.
Yeah.
You know, and if any incidents you've seen that day, then you would jot that down. So I did the same thing as a foreman, but as a foreman, I wrote down everything I could see and did because, like you said, you have it written down, but then because it's happened, charges have been brought up, people are brought to court.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Like the lady that's out there that's probably going to want to sue the company for some stupid reason. And did she say that you rattled her walls and cracked the foundation? Did that come out yet?
No, not her. We've heard that multiple times.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. So so they got to do their due diligence. But it's again going back to that foreman leadership program, the class. I advise, listen, just for the money, everybody should take it. But it's a very new class, and they're learning from each class what to change, what to do. So it's a very new class. So
I try and bring like a relaxed. Just who cares? You're getting paid.
Yeah.
We got you for the day.
That's what it is.
You know, like especially on night shift, dude. I'm working with this dude, and I know he's gonna hear me say this, but the dude just wants to go fucking home so bad, dude. All the time, and I'm like, bro, what are you missing at home at 3 o'clock in the morning? Like, who fucking cares, dude? You're making time and a half right now. Like, just suck the money up, dude. Just take the money.
It's not forever. That's the other thing. It's not forever.
Yeah.
That's what you got to tell yourself.
Yeah.
It's not forever.
Yeah.
Listen, I hate nights, but sometimes
It's
you got
horrible.
to deal with it.
Nights are horrible, and no one like my wife don't like it. My kids are like, oh man, you gotta leave it. Like I hate that. I'm missing fucking fall ball.
Yeah.
Which coach pitch with Steven. Like I can't take him to practice.
Yeah.
I gotta get an hour of sleep on Saturdays to watch his game. I'm gonna miss probably 75% of them because I'm on night shift, and it sucks. But it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the nature of the beast.
All the things that come along with being a construction worker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the career
It's
we
a
chose.
sacrifice.
It is a sacrifice, but when I wanted to make a point of that because when people see us out on the roads and we're saying, "Oh, these guys are making all this money," and they're just standing there, you don't know the sacrifices that come with it. You don't know what you go home with, what you take from home with you. You don't know who's having a bad day, who's having a good day. That's the other thing as a foreman. You got to be a counselor now.
Yeah.
This guy comes in, you see he's bringing home in with him. You got to immediately nip that in the bud first thing in the morning, pull him aside and be like, yo, bro, is everything all right? You good? Because, I could tell something.
Yeah, you got to pick up on those social cues. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to and try to calm them down to get them focused on the work because you don't want them hurt. Your first and foremost priority is safety, the safety of the guy. So, yeah, I think it was a good informative class. I think it's going to be a better and better class as it goes along and they learn more and can organize the class a little more. But it was good. It was good, very informative, and I think it's an important class, I think.
Yeah, so, dude, the talk about leadership. We had Rob Rodriguez on, who is a LiUNA Eastern Region organizer. Yeah, man. Dude, what a cool fucking interview, dude. This guy, right? I was in one of the Rise classes, in like the one they got to invite you to.
Yeah.
And he was a guest speaker there. He came in, dude, just totally captivated the room. I mean, he's got an unbelievable story. Like, this guy climbed from the fucking below bottom, was in prison for 10 fucking years. And now he's an organizer for Eastern LiUNA Regional.
Yeah.
And he is just strong, powerful words. Great dude, man. Really cool of him to like take the time to come down here because those guys are fucking busy too.
Yeah,
man.
they are. Yeah, and that's awesome that we got a regional from LiUNA. I mean, this is people don't know what LiUNA stands for. It's Laborers International
Union of North America.
Yeah. Yes. Union of North America. Right. Yeah.
It's right behind you.
Laborers.
No, it's not right behind you.
International United North America.
No, it's not United.
It's not?
Laborers International Union of North America.
Union?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shut up, okay? I can get it wrong. I can see you all judging me out there right now, okay? That's why I became a fucking laborer, because I'm not smart.
It's too many letters.
Anyhow, that's our main that's the blanket that covers LiUNA covers all the local laborers unions. So
and the Northeast region is the most, it's definitely the most popping.
Oh yeah,
and they cover Puerto Rico too.
Do they?
Yeah, which I didn't even know we had like such a strong presence.
Yeah.
See. Yeah.
So that's an awesome interview. I can't wait to see some.
I can't wait for people to see it. I feel like I'm so happy I'm able to like bring this guy's words to our audience. Yeah.
And he'll give you a better understanding of what he does as an organizer and what I'm hoping maybe some of the behind the scenes little bit of what it takes, and the importance of unions and stuff. So it's where you bring up the union thing. My wife's the hospital, they were talking about unionizing the nurses. It's one of the few hospitals that still don't have it. And she said, she said, that their bosses came in and basically said, don't go union. It's hard. Basically, badmouth and trash the union,
which is against the law.
Yeah, they basically say don't go. We'll make it worth your while if you don't go organized and blah blah blah. I said, well, I told my wife. I said, one, there's a reason why they don't want you to go because it affects them. They can make more money in their pocket if they went non-union. If they so don't let that fool you. They don't want you to become it. The other one was she had somebody that they kind of like started saying something to her, and she kind of like shut it off real quick. She's like, look, my wife was raised in a family that was all union. Her father was a union sprinkler pipe fitter. She's married to a union guy, me. Her brother-in-law's a union guy. We're very, and she says, I have a lot of my things in life I had to thank because of the unions. My father left us, took care of us and left us, will lead them pretty well off because of the union he was in. He was a business agent. He was a president. The guy's got like 3 pensions. I mean, like he did well for himself. And then then obviously what we have now, it helps. I mean, we live a comfortable life because my money makes her money more valuable, just like her money makes my money more valuable. Together we do well. And she sees it. She sees the benefits that we have. She can bounce her secondary, bounce the benefits off and shit like that. So it's a positive. I know people don't want to hear it, but if you disagree with the unions, that's okay. But you shouldn't down people for wanting to go in a union because what they want to do is better their lifestyle. Because that's ultimately what I joined the union for, was to better my lifestyle, to make more money, to have benefits.
And here's the thing, and I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. You probably know more about this than I do. But like, if a group of nurses decide to go union, right, and it is totally against the law for like any higher ups to dissuade them from. I mean, you cannot do that. You have a right to unionize in this country. But if they did, right, then all of a sudden a representative from the nurses and a representative from the higher ups at that hospital or organization or whatever, they have to sit down at a table once a year, once every other year, whatever it is. They have to agree to terms.
Yes.
And if the nurses representative does not agree to those terms, all those nurses, she says, no one's working.
No one works.
That's it. So now that puts the organization in a spot where, okay, you got to hire a billion new people. Right. No one knows what they're doing. No one's familiar with anything going on. And you got to keep everything operational. I mean, that is a lot of power.
It's a double-edged sword, too, on that one. Because because nurses and doctors, they want to help people. And their profession, their code, their oath, is to help. So by not working, it kind of falls back on, is it going to affect the patients that are in a hospital? And they don't want to do that. They want to be organized,
good point.
But they don't want to strike and take the chance of the people that are sick not getting treated. But
the threat of it is leverage.
Right. The threat of it is 100% leverage, 100%. And I feel like they should do it. And that's why that's the reason why it got brought up. My wife has been there for 3 years, no raise. Now, most of the hospitals she was at, every year they had minimum cost of allowance raise, just the cost of allowance. And they used to get bonuses. She hasn't gotten a bonus in 3 years. They haven't gotten a raise in 3 years. She's not happy, and I don't blame her.
They're making money,
right? And I don't, right? And the hospital's making money hand over fist. I mean, right?
They're not starving
because that's all they care about. That's all the hospitals care is that bottom dollar. That's all they give a shit about, and that's their. But listen, everybody has a job. There's a reason those people are up in the accountant offices because that's their job, is to worry about the dollars and the numbers coming across. Nurses are worried about the patient's health, and doctors are worried about the patient's health. We worry about asphalt. Yeah, that's what everybody has a job.
Road, yeah.
So when we're bad mouthing people and saying, "Oh, these fucking guys up there," it's their job.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do?
Totally.
Not go to work and not pay bills. It's their job. That's what they have. Everybody has a job at the end of the day. Let's just try to work together to make the best for everybody.
Yeah.
That's all.
Did you see like the Ivy League schools are like unionizing, like the football? I think it's Lou. Is it Yale football and Harvard, or is it Columbia? One of those schools they're trying to unionize. Their athletic association is trying to unionize. Is that correct?
Dartmouth voted to unionize with Service Employees International Union Local 560.
And so what do you think, like, what would the the purpose of college student athletes unionizing be? Well, now that you introduce money,
Student
into
athletes, it'd be like the Players Association.
yeah, but just for Dartmouth,
Because NFL, it's the start. Somebody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
like the NFL is a union. That's the Players Association.
and the like the NCAA is just a monster, bro. They need something, dude.
They have so much money.
Yeah,
They
fuck
want
yeah.
to get paid $20 an hour.
That's fair.
That's it.
Give it to them. What the fuck? $20 an hour?
They want to make $20 an hour. Really?
So what? Just to play or to practice, play, train, everything, meetings.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's real fair. Because that is a job, dude. I started my college career playing football, dude, and they do not like. You can't eat when you want. You can't sleep when you want.
That's a good point,
Yeah.
because these kids that are in college, what happens when they, if they're staying at college? Okay, let's say they got a full ride scholarship. They still got to eat.
Yeah.
They still got to, if they want to go out with friends, they don't have to go out with friends, but they still have to do laundry
That's
and stuff
part
like
of
that.
college is going
you go
out,
to work,
you know?
and you go to work.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So this gives the athletes an opportunity to make money doing the job, because it eats up all their time when they're training.
You
Now they're
you
off.
cannot work.
And if you want to be, and if you want to be a tip top athlete and excel, you're working in the off season.
Yeah.
So these guys, I mean, for $20 an hour,
Yeah.
that's a fuck.
Go Dartmouth.
Oh,
Yeah.
healthcare too. They want healthcare.
Healthcare too?
Yeah.
Aren't they on their parents' healthcare?
Yes. Some. I forget how that works.
Why would
if
they
that's
want?
state
Why
to
would they?
state.
So that would be counterintuitive, I think, because if you're on your parents' health care and then you switch to your own health care from 18 to 21 or 22, you still got a couple years left. You could be on your parents, and I would have a really hard time believing that it'd be a real no problem switch. That after your senior year, or after say you got injured at 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and you use your health care to fix yourself up, and then at 21. Now you're off your parents' health care. You have no health care of your own because you're not a student athlete anymore. Like I would think that'd be a little counterintuitive to.
They could probably
and,
add you back though, your parents.
Do you think it'd be like an easy, no problem?
I don't see why not.
I would hope so.
Because insurance
but,
companies.
but everything's a pain in the ass,
yeah,
dude. Especially
yeah.
with insurance companies.
But they should. I think they should have some type of health care insurance. Sure. I mean, they should have some type of health insurance because guys,
at least a secondary insurance.
Take the onus
yeah.
off the parents. Wait until your kid goes
Yeah.
into college. And
Yeah.
well, see, for us in the union, it doesn't cost us any more out of
Sure.
pocket
Yeah.
to add
No.
our kids or add our wife. But a lot of jobs that are non-union, you're
yeah.
charged
Yep.
per paycheck.
Yep.
And if you add a dependent or something, you're charged even more. I think it's actually a good idea. So these parents that are having it in charge that are paying to have their kids on there, it's going to give them.
I guess you could opt out of it if you
It's
are.
going to
on
give
your
them a little bit
care.
of a break,
Yeah.
a little breathing room. You know what I mean? They can start saving their money again.
Good point. Good point. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're going to Dartmouth, you probably are pretty.
It's a
pretty
smart
well
school,
off.
isn't it? Yeah,
That's
Dartmouth.
a real fucking smart
Yeah.
school. I know someone who went to Dartmouth.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, he's a smart motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't know too many.
I don't know anyone with more money than
I know,
him.
besides my wife, and she married me, so
Yeah, real quick, I would like to plug my brother Dave's. He's got a construction company, Rockwood Construction, but he bought a seal coat machine, and now he's seal coating driveways.
nice.
Which is like, dude, it's like slam dunk side work,
Yeah, 100%.
and it's really affordable. I mean, I think it's like 30 cents a square foot or something.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and if you tell him that Tuna Blue sent you, he'll hook you way up.
it's here at Two in the Blue. We care
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah. I mean,
And,
dude, that's such a good thing to do. Like, if your driveway's gray and you got weeds growing out of it and you got cracks along it, I mean, they come in, they get all the weeds out, they fill the cracks in, and they essentially like extend the life of your driveway.
Yeah.
With the seal coat, and
100%.
it looks way better.
Yeah, it does. Oh yeah,
Yeah, and
100%.
it's super. I mean, it's like very affordable. It's as much as like getting your house power washed.
Smells fantastic.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ.
So give Dave DeStefano a call for some driveway sealing. That's or even if you're a business out there that's watching and you want your parking lot sealed.
Yeah, holla at your
Dave,
boy.
Holla at your boy.
Yeah.
Also, I heard you mention earlier St. Joe Academy.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's give a big shout out to them because I'll tell you what, if they're not an example, right before you get to say what you were going to say, if St. Joe Academy isn't, and listen, I went to Hamilton, obviously the Hamilton-St.
Yep.
Joe rivalry that we all had, and by the way, I completely missed the Thanksgiving morning football games. They were the best. They were the best. And there was no hard feelings. Everybody went out there and enjoyed themselves. It was a friendly rivalry. It was fine. I mean, probably when you're out there in the football field, it wasn't too friendly, but once it was all over, it was good. But I will give credit to the St. Joe family, that all the people that had their kids in there as a community came together. This school was shutting down, and the community came together, some prominent names, to get this school from, and just basically, I want to say it just kind of kept running, but they changed it over to St. Joe Academy, so now it's all privately owned. So kudos to the community for stepping up and keeping these kids in that familiar school system that they were used to, instead of having to go to some school systems maybe they didn't want to go to. So that's a huge thing for St. Joe Academy. So
yeah, you mentioned that rivalry, man, and just play like, I played football just to play in that game. It was like, it's the most fun a kid can have. I get chills. I mean, this is 2 decades later. I get chills thinking about it because it was just the best.
I remember waking up. It was Thanksgiving morning as a kid. My mother would be prepping Thanksgiving dinner, and that game would be on the radio, AM radio, in the kitchen, and people would listen to it. It was what you did Thanksgiving morning. You either went rabbit hunting, or you went to the St. Joe Hamilton game, and it was huge. And I am so disappointed when they got rid of it. I think it was a decision that was just completely overlooked. I mean, people said it created like confrontation at dinner tables at Thanksgiving. Come on, it's a football game. It was good. The community loved it. I think they should bring it back just as a simple rivalry game in the morning. Even when they did bring it back in recent years, like I want to say maybe like 10 years ago, it was nice.
The COVID year, I think they did.
We went. People went out there. You're hanging. People tailgated for this high school football game. It was great.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was great. So
it was awesome. And you know what else is? They have some great people running that program right now. Ronnie Dorsey.
Oh yeah.
Who's a better guy than Ron Dorsey, man?
He's just an all-around great guy. He really is. He's just an all-around. Yeah. In fact, the entire Dorsey family really
they're
just
fantastic.
Great people. Yeah.
So he's running the show over there, and talk about a good football mind.
Yeah.
He's a great dude. He's great with football. My boy Billy Gillette is helping him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
a buddy.
Yeah, everyone's trying to bring this program back up. And I think they're well on their way, especially with the guys at the top there. So
Billy was a Hamilton boy.
Yeah, so was Ronnie.
And Ronnie was a star
of
the Hamilton. It's nice to see that the community came together and did this. That was huge. That was huge, and that was awesome. So kudos to them and St. Joe Academy.
Rock on.
Before we cut it off here, I'd like to say thank you to our followers. 12,500 almost on Facebook. Please, thank you so much for giving us the support. Get in the comments, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, give us a follow. If you're on Facebook and you're one of these many 12,000 followers, go to our other platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Follow and subscribe there. YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It just helps us out. It costs you absolutely nothing. It really gives us, when our numbers go up, it helps us out, it opens up opportunities for us to maybe possibly start doing something with this podcast a little more. So
and bringing better content.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So again, you guys that are streaming, that are just listening out there on Apple and iTunes and all that stuff, thank you so much. Spotify, if you're watching these videos every week, thank you again for the support. Keep the comments coming. Get in the comments. Get involved. Most important, follow, like, and subscribe. And for Two in the Blue, that's it for this week. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace. Thanks for sticking around for the interview. We have with us tonight Rob Rodriguez.
Yep.
Yes, sir. He is a former Local 77 turned 172 laborer, and now an organizer for LiUNA Eastern Regional.
Yep.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's a
hell of a move.
That's like just straight climbing upward, dude. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
So, dude, the reason I reached out to you is I was in the Rise 3 class. What's that, Master it's called?
Yeah, Masters, yep.
Yeah, I was in there. Still waiting for my invitation to 4, by the way.
Well, the champion?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got
I heard there's a 5
up.
too now.
I think it's champion. So you got Foundation, Builder, Pro, Master, and then champion. So master is the 2-day one.
Yeah, I got to get to that. Oh, wait, I did that one.
You did the master. So
Yeah.
you did 4 levels. We did 3 levels, right? No,
Yeah,
4. 'Cause
I
you
went
did
to
foundation.
Trenton. And there's one you go to Lake Atlantic City.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I got to
yeah,
get to that one.
No. It's New Brunswick now.
Oh,
New
fuck.
Brunswick, yeah,
Maybe
the 2-day.
Maybe I don't
2-day.
want to do that one.
It's a New Brunswick. I mean, it's fun. You
Yeah,
go
I
up in
know.
the hotel,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
Everything's
always fun,
faithful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's
cool.
fun. We gonna share this one around. Maybe Anna see it. Anna, you gotta invite him to the Masters.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, so you came and spoke to our class,
Mm-hmm.
and man, it was like some people, man, they just have a good command of a group, and I felt like when you talked, you had really good command. Everyone was paying it, like no one was talking. Everyone's just listening to you. You could feel your words, and dude, I just thought it's an honor for me to bring you on and have you talk to like our audience.
Man, I'm humbled to even hear that. So like, yeah, it's appreciative, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So how'd you get started? Let's start at the beginning.
In the construction.
Yeah.
So I did 10 years in prison. I got locked up for some things. When I came home, I had the same problems that probably everybody has when you come home from jail, right? We're coming from prison from a long stint. I was like 30 years old. I didn't have any training, didn't have any skills, no experience in the workforce, really, right? Like I was a street dude. But wanted to get in and find something to do for myself, right? So I went through the same problems everybody goes through. You can't get a job, can't land serious work. But on parole, you have to have work. You can't just, you know what I mean? You have to account for what you're doing. So I was doing things off the books, working for cash, minimum wage jobs, right? Which is crazy. And then my dad, who was actually a retired Teamster from New York Sanitation, he seen the apprenticeship program coming out. So he sent it to me. I went this back when Folsom used to do the Jones in person. You had that long line going around the corner. I went, filled it out, landed an interview, and yeah, they called me in for a Gen Con class for 77. So as soon as I got in there, it was a wild experience even going through the apprenticeship. I was in my 2-week apprentice class, right? And this is a true story. Kevin, who's the current assistant director, was my teacher, and Doug was there. And I went through the first week, and over the weekend, my car got shot up while I was in it. So I had to come to work the next morning. I had to come back to the class on Monday. It got shot up on a Sunday. I had to come back on a Monday. And I'm driving the car, and I get pulled over by the police because you got bullet holes in your car, sir. Like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, man, I can't be late. It's going to ruin my... They let me go, told me I got to file a police report. I'm driving. I'm calling Folsom. Like, listen, I'm late, but there's a reason. My car got shot up, and I got pulled over by the police. So the lady, the secretary, went to Doug, and Kevin was like, this kid said he's late because his car got shot up. And they said, pull up. If there's bullet holes in his car, I'll believe him. I think they thought I was bullshitting. When I pulled up, they walked out, and they looked, and they was like, oh, shit. I feel like, yeah, you should probably get inside, right? So I made it by the skin of my teeth through that. But once I started working and I seen that first check, you know, everybody see that first check, you're like, oh, shit. Like, this is real, right? So once I got that first check, I just no holds barred all in, you know what I mean?
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it was a wild story, man.
Yeah, I always think like the laborers or like any union really is it's good for people who just have no direction.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like if you have no idea what you're doing, if you fuck up at some point in your life, like it's kind of a light at the end of the tunnel, you know, and sometimes that's all like people kind of need is like just to
Yeah.
see a light at the end of the tunnel, and it kind of turns things around.
Absolutely.
You know? Just to
Yeah.
put one foot in front of the other, try and get there.
And college ain't for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know, I think one of the kids I met in one of my classes was in 472, and he jumped in at 18. You know what I mean? Which is crazy to be, like, if we can go back and rewind the hands of
Hell
times,
yeah.
he coming in at 18, he can retire when he's in his 40s and be making a good amount of money. So I just think it's for everybody. I don't think there's enough education and light on what the union is or what the benefits of it are, right? Like, if you know, everyone kind of just looks off to the side like those are the construction workers. And then when they hear what you make, now they want to get a part of it, right? Like, so I think a lot of it has to do with education. But yeah, the union is like, especially the trade unions, is something where no matter what your past is, as long as you can show up on time and do the work, you're gonna be successful. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. So so you went from Local 77, which is the building trades, and you jumped into 172. How long into like Local 77 were you before you hopped into 172?
well, I was a journeyman, so I was already in for like 6 years, 5-6 years. So I was already into it. Went through my apprenticeship, and I kind of got my, you know how you find your niche. So my niche was concrete and mason tender. So when I got into my niche, it was just natural for it. But one of my unks is actually in 172, Andrew Phillips. And so like he used to kept telling me like, yo, if you know the work, you might as well come over here. You might as well come over here. And I was always had the same fears, like, man, I don't want to switch my book. And then all of a sudden, you know what I mean, you ain't going to work or none of that stuff. But eventually got to the point where my lady was pregnant, and it's my first kid. So I'm like, man, I'm about to take a shot at this, see how it works out. You know what I mean? Worst come to worst, I'm just going to come back. So I took the shot of it, and then things kind of went a different direction after that, right? So
It's crazy how kids, you make just crazy decisions, man.
they change everything.
They do.
Yeah, they change
I quit
everything.
smoking. I mean, like I did so many decisions I've made has been because, you know, my wife got pregnant.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Listen, because you don't want to be that good dad. I think a lot of people don't know that, especially as a man, when you become a father, it's like you repurpose now, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's your job, it's everything for this kid. Like,
Yeah.
so
You want to
wanna
be
make sure-
someone that like your kid's proud of, you know, not like
Yeah, you don't want to be my dad was a bum. My dad was this. My dad didn't.
Right.
Got to be there, man.
yeah.
Be active. Yeah.
So now you are an organizer with LiUNA Eastern Region. That's that's like a big deal, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm as shocked to be here as anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody, when you in the union, at least I know for me, even thinks about that trajectory of being there. Like, you don't even know how it's possible. So to even find myself here is like crazy. I'm living a dream. You know what I mean? But I love it.
So what do you walk us through a day as an organizer?
Every day is different. Every single day is different because it's about where your target's at, right? What campaign you're a part of, because the region puts us in different campaigns. So right now I'm working for the building trades campaign. You got something called the Rove team that works for the heavy highways and kind of doing Delaware work. You got some regional organizers attached to Local 79 in New York, 66, 78, like, you know what I mean? Like, it depends where we got organizers in Puerto Rico building that up. So it all depends on
That's
where you go.
part of the Eastern Region.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like for me right now, for instance, I will find jobs that are coming out that I know are coming down the line. And then you try to get ahead of it. You figure out when the work is getting bidded, who the work is going to. You want it to go union because you want our members to go to work. And if you find an industry like, for instance, concrete work or masonry or something like that, and it's predominantly non-union in a particular market, you want those guys doing our work to be a part of our union. So you got to go out there, find them. Mike Hellstrom likes to say we agitate, instigate, and educate. You know what I mean? So when you flip these guys over to the union or you turn the non-union company union, you essentially increase what we call our market shares. And then when you get more union density, right, we have more bargaining powers, raises go up, right? So when you get more wages, you have more density, people are working, like, you know what I mean? Everybody's happy. That's what you really want, you know what I mean? To raise the standards. So that's really it, man. You going around to every single job, looking to see who the people are. You're talking to workers, giving out cards. Sometimes you won't come back until 8 at night because you're doing house calls. You'll start work at 6:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I remember, it depends, like everything is different, man. I was on the One Awake campaign and we was out there at the sanitation until like 10 o'clock at night, standing in front of the sanitation department just trying to catch workers coming in and out to their trucks. You know what I mean? And you're all the way in Brooklyn. I live down here in South Jersey. You got to drive back home after that. So you go where the need is needed, you know what I mean? And you're essentially a resource for the membership.
So when you're talking to these guys, you're making these house calls. What are you saying?
I think most of the time, so like first time we go to a house call, you're trying to gather information. right? You really want to be that ear for them to find out what their frustrations is with the job, right? See where we like to meet people where they're at, right? So find out how much they're making. If there's any type of frustration with the leadership or the foremen or the supervisors, find out what their skill level is, right? Make sure that they're doing our work. And after you find them, you want to kind of agitate them about what's wrong with the current work situation that they had. And you want to educate them about the benefits of turning union, right? Like what it is that we have. And between that agitation of where they're at right now and the education of where they should be, we call that inoculation. So now you want to motivate them to do something about it. So when they get motivated to do something about it, then it takes different lanes. Because a lot of these dudes out there, they're getting exploited and not even getting the right amount of money, right? So let's say we're going to a prevailing wage job. Everybody's required to pay the total package for whatever the union rate is, right? Which is, I think building trade like 70 something an hour. Heavy highway, maybe close to 90, 89. So they're supposed to pay these guys that total amount in pocket. What the non-union contractor will do is bid work underbid it so that the union contractor can't win it. And they're getting paid by the government or whoever body is giving them the money for this work. And instead of giving you the $80 an hour that I put in my estimate, I'll give you $40, $50 an hour in the check. You just happy getting this 40, 50. But that extra $30 an hour that they pay me for, it's going in my pocket. So a lot of times it's educating to do it. And plus, them guys still paying for insurance out of pocket, which sometimes could be like $300, $600 a month, depending on, you know what I mean?
So in New Jersey, if you have over, I think is it 10 or 20 employees, you have to offer benefits, right?
Depends. Depends, because I've seen contractors that have over 50 people and they don't offer any benefits.
I think they must be out of state because I was running a small trucking company, and it was made very aware to me, like if you were over 10, if you were 10 employees or more, you had to offer benefits to some extent.
Yeah, it's not like that in the construction world.
Okay.
And a lot of these guys have 401ks. Maybe the company will match into it. Sometimes they don't even have that. They still got to get health bennies on their own. You have a lot of people that's working off the books. You know what I mean? They're getting $40 of cash or they're getting day pay. Right. So they're not getting any of that. You know what I mean? So it just depends. Like you find so many different situations and circumstances. Like, you know what I mean? There's no one silver bullet to what you're running into.
So these bigger contractors that do offer the benefits to their employees, right? So the way it works, I guess, is the more employees you have, I guess the cheaper the benefit amount is per employee for the contractor. Well, if you're non-union.
If you're non-union, no, because what's supposed to happen according to the prevailing wage law is this is how much someone gets paid for doing this particular amount of work. And that's the bare minimum you can pay them. You can always pay them more. Yeah. It's the bare minimum. It doesn't matter if you have 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. If you don't pay into a fringe benefits program, like whether it's a part of the union, I think ABC, a non-union company, got something what they call a contractor's benefit plan, which I think is a bunch of BS, but you got to pay those benefits into that, and apparently it gets, I don't know how they work it out, right? But let's say it's for us, we're a union member, that extra money we get towards our welfare, right, towards the annuity, towards the pension, vacation funds, all of that, since they're not giving that to them as a contractor, they have to give them that money, right? And you go get that for yourself.
What I'm saying is, like, if the contractor already carries their benefits, and prevailing wages, we'll call it $80 an hour, 20 of which is supposed to go to health benefits, right? But they're already picking up the benefits. Is that contractor now allowed to put that $20 an hour into their pocket?
If they're paying the benefits, right? But there has to be. You have to be looking at it to make sure that's what's actually happening with the money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, fair enough.
You can't just say, like, all right, I'm keeping this 20, I'm giving you benefits. It's like, how much is the benefits program that you're paying into? Is it worth $20? Right? Or did you get, like, the cheapest scale of health benefits for this person? It's $5. What are you doing with the extra 15? Right. You know what I mean? Like, for us, everything is calculated by the hour, how much is going into our benefits and what it's going for. They're supposed to either match that or let the worker decide for himself what to do with the money that he earned.
Gotcha. So now that we're on this subject, right? You got this monster contractor in New Jersey. They were up north. They made their way down south. What is being done from the LiUNA end to mitigate Earl?
So I gotta be delicate when I speak about it, but it's definitely not being ignored. You know what I mean?
Oh, sorry.
A lot of the times when you see Earl on a project, we're already playing behind the fence on that project. So when you seen him on the project, we knew that the project was being bidded. We fought against it, right? We have a package about why Earl shouldn't be awarded it. We try to work behind it. So we did a lot of things before it gets to that point where you see Earl on the job. And by the times Earl on the job, we already knew about it. We try to bid on it. We try to go underneath them. Earl is just actively going against us, right? And they got their own asphalt facility now and all other stuff, you know what I mean? And a lot of those bids that go their way, unfortunately, should have went our way, and it doesn't. But you keep actively pursuing them, right? And you try to find those workers that aren't getting paid right. Though sometimes they say they get paid, so it's cool. But you also try to find those guys that are quality workers, right? Like those really good guys that it's going to hurt to lose them, right? And you bring them in. And a lot of times you're going to win it, right? Because if you're a guy that's 25, 30 years old and you're doing this work, you start thinking about those benefits at a certain point in time. You know what I mean? You want to get that health insurance. You want to get that pension, right? A lot of those older guys probably don't care about a pension no more because they're already past the point where they can even be vested to care about it. But you want to go after the best guys, right? And you want to put pressure on Earl to the point that they want to come and sit down at the table, right? And when they come and sit down at the table, it's about negotiating with them about why they should be union, right? So sometimes you got dickheads that's just not going to come. You know what I mean? Like they're just going to go against you. And then at that point in time, it's about, like I said, minimizing how much work they get and maximizing our work. You know what I'm saying?
Is it like, it almost feels from an outsider point of view like it's too late for Earl. Like they're just gonna keep going, and it doesn't.
I say never say never.
Do.
I would say never say never, right? And because that's just giving up, right? You're gonna fight it tooth and nail every time you see them, right? You're never gonna give up on them. And I understand where the frustration can come in from the outside looking in, but you don't give up because there's targets that they've dealt with in New York City that they probably thought would never flip that flipped, right? So you just gotta keep going at them, and sometimes it may be just the right time when they bend. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you look like at a contractor like Kylie, and no one ever thought they were gonna flip.
That's what I'm saying. You just don't know when it.
Yeah.
It could be something where ownership changes, right? Where the dad moves the company to the son. Now the son was more open for this contractor. And now all of a sudden he's wanting to sit down where they weren't willing to sit down before.
Well, you look at the Kylie case, and it looked like, to me, it looked like we just had enough pull to get this, like, had to be a recognized trade to put natural gas into the ground law put in place. And then they were like, okay, I'll sit down.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like one of the things that we have sometimes in the books is about a registered apprenticeship program and the necessity of having it attached to it, right, with prevailing wage work. And I think it's in the process of being expanded even, but it's different from New York City. So in New York City, they have a state recognized registered apprenticeship program, different from the federal, right? Like, have you been educated on Davis-Bacon and all that?
I have. You probably have to give me a little refresher.
So, like, for instance, like in prevailing wage, we have state prevailing wage, then we have federal prevailing wage, right? Federal prevailing wage is Davis-Bacon, and it's not as strict as the state prevailing wage, right? So the same way in New York City, they have that federal registered apprenticeship program, but then the state registered apprenticeship program has more restrictions on top of it to make it more of a almost 95% chance in New York City that if it requires a registered apprenticeship program, it's going to be union. Whereas out here, you put the requirement for an apprenticeship program, they go with somebody like ABC, which is just a catch and release program for apprenticeship, but they're federally recognized, right? And so like Earl is actually on the head of one of their boards for apprenticeship program. But you want to put more of these limitations or requirements on top of a contractor, which makes it more beneficial to associate with the union, right? Like local hire requirements, registered apprenticeship requirements, right? In some places, they require what's called Section 3 workers, where they make certain less than what the majority of the people make in the area. You want these requirements to be attached to it so that contractors can't come in and just do whatever they want to do.
Is that like Camden?
Yeah. Like Camden would be a good example, but Camden's an example where sometimes we find workers coming from North Jersey coming down to Camden to do the work. Like, where's the local hire? Over there, Section 3, right? Or you find somebody from PA coming over and doing the work in Jersey, and it's like, where's the local hire, right? So that comes down to a legislative issue where you want to encourage the town, like, yo, if you don't have local hires on here, you're not supporting the people that voted you in. And that's where a lot of the political action comes into place, reminding these politicians that the person that put you in the office is the same person being denied work here.
So you look at Arcosa. Is that how you pronounce it? Arcosa?
I'm not sure about Arcosa.
Okay. The Stavola was just bought
Okay.
by Arcosa, who's they're like a national company.
Okay.
When someone like Arcosa comes in, they buy Stavola, they buy all their plants, all their landfills, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, is that so? Like Stavola had a contract with they have a contract with the union. Arcosa inherits that. Is there a concern at all that when that contract's up that they're not going to resign?
There's always a concern.
Okay.
There's always a concern. I don't think we can never be lax in anything that we accomplish, right? Signing the CBA is one step, right? However long they sign that for, but you want to make sure that when that CBA runs up, that they they renew their contract. So there's always that care and concern. Who's the new person coming in that's inheriting this contract, right? What's their game plan? Like, do they plan on like doing the right thing, or do they plan like just playing possum and eventually they're going to just drop it and go a different direction? So it's always a concern. There's always somebody behind the scenes gauging it, right? 172 has excellent leadership that pretty much is on top of all of this all the time, trying to figure out who the guy is, already trying to get to know him, right? And one thing that 172 does is they send everybody in 172 is a skilled laborer, right? But the guys you send to work for somebody often going to speak for the strength of the union. You know what I mean? Like whatever kind of work you're doing, I want you to know we got the best guys that do that work. So there's always on top of it. You can't slack in anything you do in a union. Nothing's promised. And I think sometimes we think it's promised, but it's not.
So the reason I bring up Arcosa, who's a national company, they probably, because like the Northeast is really where like a big portion of the union is like condensed in America.
Yeah.
So you get this national contractor in or company that doesn't really, they're not really unionized at all, you know. Is there a fear that a big contractor like Earl can kind of like hop into bed with them and just get them kind of schmoozed?
Always. Every threat, every concern you imagine is already being imagined, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I said you got to actively fight against this or prevent this. You can't wait until the problem happens to try to address it. You want to try to see these problems coming down the road or potentially come down the road and squash them before they become an issue.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the best way to do it. There's been cases where there's certain companies who won't be union in New York City, but they'll be union in New Jersey, right? And vice versa. So contractors are always trying to look out for the contractor. They're not trying to look out for anybody if they don't have to, right? And you got to remember this is a business. So if you're going to run the business, you got to be a good businessman. So you have to see where the market's at. You have to see where the trends are at. You have to see what this contractor's, what the company's kind of personality trait is, what their track record speaks for them to do, right? And you also want to be politically active and have those type of friends and places that you can see what's coming down the line and the conversations that's being had about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Roger that. So you guys are on it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. With that, I can tell you that. Yeah, there's a lot of us lose sleep over behind that. So, yeah, we're on it.
Yeah, I remember when I first caught wind of this, I was like, oh, man, dude, I was trying to talk to someone about it. But
yeah, I mean, look, there's somebody at every, like we have so many different levels at the region, right? And a lot of times we pay these checkoff dues when we just in the field and we don't really see the bigger picture of the machine moving constantly, right? We have a political department. We have a LESET department that really handles the contractor business development. Randy Brolo, right? Business development for South Jersey. It's just there's people in the Capitol building that's really working for us, right? Constantly paying attention to what's being said. Like someone's always there when the bill gets introduced, studying the bills, trying to figure out if this is good for us, is this bad for us, right? And then fighting behind the scenes before it even comes. So like there's somebody at every different level always working for it, right? And then when you start to see that, you're kind of more proud of your union because they're really professional at this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were talking to I talked to a solar guy last week who kind of came. He He came on to like kind of talk about the rise in the electric prices because we got like kind of involved, not involved.
Yeah,
but
that was crazy.
Yeah, me and Flounder were just talking shit, and then it made its way onto a some type of a Facebook page. Just
Atlantic City Electric, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So the way the guy made it sound was in the 90s or whatever, 2000, whatever, New Jersey passed a law. They wanted all renewable energy by 2050.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy bumped that up to 2035.
Mm-hmm.
According to this solar guy, we're only like in the teens as far as renewable energy in New Jersey right now. And we are supposed to, in 10 years, build the infrastructure to support 100% renewable energy, which could be like, to me, it sounded like was like kind of the reason why our electric bills are going up so high.
No, that's bullshit.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. One of my closest friend, they just got a $1,300 electric bill.
it's nuts, dude.
Like, that's crazy, right? Like, my electric bill that came from AC Electric was like $500-600. Like, what is happening right now?
Same.
So, and no one's trying to hear that. You can try to blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. Like, that has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just somebody did some bullshit, right? Like, somebody made a mistake somewhere, and instead of just admitting, like, it shouldn't be this high, they're trying to talk. You can't talk somebody down into believing that they're supposed to accept that. You're just not going to, right? Like,
well, not that people are going to accept it, but just like, I mean, it makes sense. Like, if they're trying to, go after this push to like build all this infrastructure with like windmills and solar fields, which would be great for us. Not the electric bill great for us, but like the work is great for us.
Yeah.
It's like, but then like at the end of it, when it's all renewable energy, I'm like, well, I mean, is the bill? Are we going to have lower gas bills?
Yeah,
then?
the bill should be nothing at that point in time, right? Like,
and there's no way that's going to be the case.
And look, like I think AC Electric has something too, where they have the contractors plan where if your bill is extremely high, they send a contractor out to see if there's any like gaps, right? If your house is hermetically sealed, if basically everything being done to keep your bill as low as possible, right? And then you can pay into that to the contractor's plan where they come out and do the work and they kind of just add the bill on to the end of your electric bill, right? But you want to see that bill drop down, you're going to add more money onto my bill, you know what I'm saying? But there's no reason in the world why that bill should be gouged like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
dude. It's out of control.
And look, I own a home in Williamstown, so like I feel that pressure on that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like South Jersey Gas is kind of flying under the radar, but their bill's fucking astronomical.
As soon as it gets cold outside, we're gonna see what that bill looks like, and then it's gonna be complaining about them.
I paid $400+ last winter.
I was paying
gas.
the same.
Like,
I was paying the same, yo. And I bought my house in December. And I'm thinking, because I was just paying the PSE&G bill that was like $150, you know what I mean, maybe $100-something. And I'm like, all right, well, I got a house now, right? I got a gas and electric bill. It's only $150. That first gas bill came was like $400-500. I was like, yo, hold on, wait a minute now, like, you know what I mean? Don't make no sense, man.
Nah,
don't make no sense. Nah.
So we were, let's backtrack a little bit. First thing you said is you were in jail for 10 years.
Yeah.
You mind talking about that at all?
Yeah. So when I was 14 years old, I got jumped into a gang, right? And this was early 2000s. And the gang life basically led to some situations happening, right? Particularly violent situations, which led to me being incarcerated for 10 years. You know what I mean? From the age of 20 to 29. So really 9 years and 2 months, but it was a 10-year sentence. I had to do a little bit more time on top of that because I had another charge that I had to serve in between that time. But yeah, it was a huge chunk of my life. So
Yeah, that must feel, I mean, at the time, I can imagine that feels like just like your life is over.
Yeah.
You know, like, and now like looking back, it probably is like just such a small finger.
I mean, it's still a huge part of my identity, right? Because those were the formative years of my life. And when I first came home, I used to tell people it's kind of a mind shock because for the past 10 years, you lived inside of this culture in prison. You developed your sense of manhood inside of this prison because no one's a man at 20 years old, you know what I mean? So you develop this mindset inside of prison about engagements and how to react, right, and the politics, and there's wars that happen behind the wall, right? Like there's crazy stuff that happen behind the wall that when you're behind it, it's bigger than everything. It's bigger than life. And you get these kind of experiences, and then when you come home, they don't translate, right? Like nothing you did or went through behind the wall translate to any kind of value out here. And that's something you have to automatically accept, and it's difficult for a lot of people. Very, very difficult for a lot of people. So, and you go through certain things that don't translate, right? Like I was in a hole in Trenton State Prison for years. You know what I'm saying? Like years. Being stuck in a cell and only coming out every other day and all that other stuff, right? And you've seen things, man. I seen the West Compound in prison that's from the Hurricane movie that Denzel Washington was in. I was in the hole over there where the cell isn't big enough to stretch your arms all the way out. You know what I mean? And it's just the bed in there and the toilet next to the bed. And when you're in that experience, it's the loudest thing in your life, right? And then when you get out here and you're free, you're like, you have to remind yourself you went through that because you can forget it, right? And but it's still behind you in the back of your head that you've been through these things.
Damn, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So the union has been like pretty instrumental for you.
Yeah. I always tell my friends this, right? Because I didn't necessarily get the gang life up right away when I went into the union because it was everything I knew.
Yeah.
But I think when that point in time came into my life where I felt the gang life had took me as far as it could take me. And at this point, it was more of a detriment than a help to me. I had that feeling of angst and anxiety of I need to get away from this. And I also had that feeling of being lost when I did walk away from it because it was like my whole identity. And now it's like I have to redefine myself again when I only knew myself as this gangbanger. And when I set out to redefine myself, the only thing I had to hold on to was I was a construction worker and I was in the union, right? And then when you focus more on that, it took a long time, but eventually that's what was my saving light, you know what I'm saying? And then especially becoming an organizer like that gave me purpose beyond purpose, like, you know what I mean? And it just rewarded you back. Like the union is one of those things, what you put in, you're going to get back out of it. And it sounds like bullshit, but as soon as you start putting it in, you feel it. You know what I mean? You feel it. You can feel the benefits to your life. Like, it's a whole different kind of organization that I was used to, right? Like, the other organization only promises is death in jail. You know what I mean? Where over here, you have an organization that, bro, I'm a homeowner. You know what I mean? I'm a homeowner. My property like an acre in the backyard. I was in a hole in Trenton State Prison. And now I got an acre in my backyard, which is wild. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to even think about that, like, sometimes I sit in my backyard sometimes, especially in the wintertime when I first moved in there. I light a fire up, have myself some bourbon in an ice cup, smoke a cigar, and I'm like, dang, it's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But everything's thanks to the union, man, definitely.
That's awesome. So you talked about becoming, like, how did they find you?
The RISE program. The RISE is exactly what they say it is, right? It's and right now it's being taught and headed up by a lady named Anna Tavares, who is one of my heroes in my life, right? Like, female or construction worker, one of the first, right, in demolition in New York City, which was crazy. And then she took over the RISE program, and you know, she puts her heart and soul into it, right? And I remember going through the foundation, going through the building. The first time I went to the foundation, an apprentice, and you hear all the stories about the war zone that the iron workers went through and all this stuff, it was captivating to me because I'm like, yo, there's some history here. Like, it wasn't always just sign your book and go. Like, dudes was fighting and dying behind this, right? So, like, that shit kind of makes you enthralled by it, right? Like, oh, shit, this is almost like banging.
You do learn a lot in them classes.
You learn a lot, and stuff you don't really know. Like, at this point in time, when you first come in, you just looking for the check. And then when you start learning a little about, like, oh shit, there's some history to this. And then the builder, you learn a little bit, but it was pro. I went to my pro on a Saturday, and true story, I was hungover in my pro. Like, I don't even remember I signed up for that shit. I'm like, fuck, let me just go over here, right? And I was sitting here like this most of the time, and there was a couple other dudes I knew in there, but they started asking the questions and like calling for engagement, and I was engaging back because one of the things I did in prison was read a lot. And one of the other things I want to say the gang brought to me was the street smarts and the ability to politic and to build, right? And to hold a conversation with somebody, right? Because a lot of times in the gang world, man, conversations can lead to somebody dying. So you got to learn how to meticulously walk through those conversations and deliver your point in a way where I upset you, but you gonna accept that, like, right? So I got into the engagement and I found myself waking up in the class, like, right, really being engaged. And it was a chance for me to kind of express my intelligence side, which I don't think I was always able to express like that. So I expressed it. Then I got invited to the Masters. When I got invited to the Masters, first of all, I was shocked that I was even going to that shit, right? Like, I remember I walked into the Masters and I seen my name on the card, the name to all that.
Hell yeah.
I was like, oh shit, big boss, right? Take a picture of me, I'm special, right? They put me in a hotel room.
Got your swag pack.
Yeah, I feel good about myself, right? But I started participating, and honestly, I actually came to the Masters to have fun, right? But there was a bunch of dudes like me there trying to have fun, and I engaged in the class, and I just did the work, and I also never shied away from telling my story. Never shied away from telling my story because I wasn't ashamed of it, right? I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be at in life, but I also knew I went through some things. So I expressed it in there. And Anna, she's the reason why I'm here. Anna had heard my story. She knew I knew how to speak. I was able to express myself the way I needed to. And that bill was coming up, and she like, yo, they told her they needed somebody from the Rise to be able to go in front of Congress, right? And in front of the State House, right? And to speak about the benefits of a union for somebody that went through prison, right? How the union apprenticeship can help. And Anna was like, oh, I got the perfect person. So she literally called me on the phone like, yo, what you doing? Nothing. How you doing, Anna? Right? Like, I'm nice to see you. Like, how's it going? Yeah, so this was after my champion too, because I went to the champion after that. And she was like, yeah, so look, man, we need you at the Capitol building to speak about the apprenticeship program. I was like, okay, when? She's like, tomorrow. I'm like, huh? She's like, yeah, tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning, you gotta be in training. Can you do it? Yes or no? Oh my God. I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I'll do it. You feel me? So I think immediately when she hung up, I began to think about what I was going to say, and I was writing it out and going through it, but it was actually therapeutic for me to actually try to, because, you know, they teach you in the Rise, you guys take whatever you're saying and condense it down to 2 minutes. So he told me I probably had like 4 or 5 minutes to speak. So here I am trying to condense my whole life experience into 5 minutes in a way that you can understand. And I memorized it, and I just remember when I went there, like, I felt crazy because there was a bunch of women in there that was there to talk about like stillbirths and all this other stuff. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I hope I go before them, right? I don't want to follow that act. So I remember they called me up and I went up in my Rise jacket and I'm sitting down there and I just got my head down. I'm sitting, I'm looking at the politicians and I realized Trenton State down the street. So I'm like, all right, I'm trying to talk through my nerves a little bit. So as soon as I said that, I was like, my name is Robert Rodriguez. I'm of the Laborers International Union North America. And I looked at him, I was like, such and such amount of years ago, that was MA number 646-055-922-493C down the street in Trenton State Prison. As soon as I said that, the whole entire room just got quiet. Like the fuck is he doing here, right? Because I had the jacket on. You couldn't see the tattoos. You couldn't see none of that. I just looked like a construction worker, right? And as I explained to them how the union, through the political engagements, through the picket lines, through the charitable events we do, right? And then the brotherhoods that's formed on the job sites, right? Because nobody understands that kind of brotherhood when you're on a job site for a year, 2 years, and you with the same guys day in, day out. These are your brothers, you know what I mean? Like, these are your mans in them. You're going to chill with them after work and all that, and slowly you begin to build a new type of family, a new kind of circle, right? And your values change, right? And you start to identify yourself. And I told him, like, this is how I became a middle-class person. I wasn't a middle class. I was below the poverty line because I wasn't even in the game, right? I was in the streets, so I was way below the poverty line. I didn't barely existed on paper. You know what I'm saying? And then the union comes through, and all of a sudden, you have a voice, right? And you never had a voice before to even speak no politics, to even have a conversation in the room. But now when you go somewhere and you say, I'm a member of Local 172, them politicians look at you different, right? Like, oh, how's everything going? Is it, you know what I mean? Like now all of a sudden you matter. Well, before you didn't matter before. So I just basically spoke to them about how the union apprenticeship gave me empowerment in a different avenue, right? And luckily I was able to go there, shed that light. They applauded. Like as soon as I got first of all, I didn't know how it was gonna be taken. So as soon as I get done, I'm like, all right. All of a sudden they standing up clapping and I'm like, oh shit, they liked it, right? And I go back to the room. The ladies that's here to speak about still births are crying to me, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be crying for you. Like, what you crying for me for, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't recognize the strength or the power in my own story. For me, it was just my story, right? And there's a researcher, the head researcher at the region, who's that's my heart. She's a great person, Nicole, and she had told me when I was in the master's class that the union is only as powerful as the stories of its members, right? Because the stories of the members is what give the union power. And we can tell you how we changed life and how we matter. So after that, they called me up and they was like, yo, they tried to ask me to come and explain my story to different classes, and they're like, you coming in for an interview. And I remember I did my interview and everything got quiet after that for a while, right? Because obviously the region's going to be taking a huge gamble on someone like me, right? And then I got a call from the assistant regional manager, assistant VP, Bernard Caligari. And he told me like, yo, man, I heard your story. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to tell you like, yo, I came from that type of shit. Like, you know what I mean? I feel here I am talking to the two dude at the regional office, and he telling me about my story. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, you feel me? Like, I ain't expect for it to get this big. And he just like, nah, we're going to chop it up. And he would see me because I began becoming more active, right? And going out, and he used to see me. And then Anna was always trying to push the line like, yo, we need this dude at the office. We need this dude at the office. And I remember it was a Friday, and first Anna called me, and she was like, come to the region on Monday. I'm like, all right. Then Bernard calls me. I'm like, shit. I'm like, Bernard, what's up? He was like, how you feeling? I'm like, good. He's like, are you just good or you better than good? I'm like, better than good. He's like, I bet since you're going to be here on Monday with us now. I'm like, oh, shit. Right? So I come in there, and the first thing you do is the region always takes people on as VOs, right? Which is a volunteer organizer, kind of like an intern. And it's basically a year to show what you got. And then at the end of the year, it's dependent upon, you know, what you did, right? What your skill level at. Have you been doing a good job? But it also depends on other things. Where's the budget at, right? Like, is there room in the budget for another permanent organizer? Because that's an investment in somebody. You know what I'm saying? As a VO, you're driving your own car, right? Like, you're not getting paid all that. You're just here to help out. But as a permanent organizer, an investment. So I remember I went through the whole year, and it was me, and I want to say there was like 5 VOs at the office. And as time comes up, I'm seeing different VOs go back to the field. So I'm like, all right, when my time comes up, I'm going back to the field, take it to right, like a layoff, right? Like everybody's been in, you know what coming and shit, right? Yep. So it's like, all right, layoffs coming, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I have fun. Hopefully they bring me back again, like da-da-da-da. So I go in there. I remember I was nervous as hell, but at the same time, I was like, I'm probably getting laid off. It is what it is. And the director, Dave Johnson, was talking to me and was just like, yeah, you know, it's funny as hell. So Dave Johnson's here, and the assistant director, Dino, Anthony Ensampara, he's over here, and he's in the corner just looking at me, right? So they was like, yeah, you know, we do a year, you know, we thank people for their service, send them back, da-da-da. So I'm like, all right, this is my goodbye speech. I'm like, all right. Then suddenly he's like, but you're a different story, right? And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, shit, different story. Started explaining to me, he's like, so, you know, we're going to offer you this position permanently. I'm like, oh, shit. And that was in July. So all of a sudden I became a permanent organizer.
This past July?
This past July.
Oh, dude, congrats, man.
Yeah, man. This past July I became a permanent organizer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I seen you in that class way before that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. It's a humbling experience to be in that position, right? And it's also a great responsibility too, though, because at the end of the day, it's like if I if I do my job right, I make things better for the dudes that was in my situation before, right? People like you and me, like that need to be out there, like making sure like we hold the line and we push that line, right? So it's like the buck stops with you. You got to feel like that when you out there. Like if I don't do my job, this shit goes to shit. You know what I mean? Live your dream.
It's hard to not feel like we are in good hands, man. After hearing that,
Yeah, it's, like I said, humbling.
that's awesome, man.
Humbling.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
I think we should end it on that, dude. That's good shit, bro. That's really good shit. Thank you again, dude, for coming out. I mean, means a lot to me. I'm happy I get to like kind of share your story with anyone who's watching. Dude, just keep climbing, bro. That's all you've been doing is climbing.
Gotta keep fighting.
Who's stopping you, dude?
Yeah, man. We gotta push the line, man. Push the line, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me here too, man. This was like I said, I always come out with the members and try to help out, but I like what you're doing here, man.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Thank you very much.
No problem, man.
All right.